I don't know how that helped the situation. So why even bother asking that type of question?
I can't believe I believed everything we had was less. So young and naive of me to think she was from.
And if you're new here, welcome. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you get ready for this chit chat glam. Get ready with me and get into all the tea of losing your spark and getting it back, because here we regain our strength. Let's prep the face before we start the chit chat, because we have a lot to talk about. So much has happened, has transformed me, and I am ready to talk about it. Spark and losing your spark, or not losing your spark, and all that good stuff. I started a mini series both on TikTok and on Instagram. So basically we're posting the content, and it's called Rebuilding During Postpartum. I spoke lightly about fighting to keep your spark as a new mom, because it's such a huge shift. Like, no woman can ever prepare you for that change. Like, I feel like there's not really a way that you can explain it in detail on how much of it changed you as a person, as a woman, and now a mother. And the craziest thing is you can't necessarily warn someone, because every woman is different. We process this change very differently, and as much as we don't want to admit it, it affects us a lot emotionally. And when I was seeing the trend, is like basically that person losing that light in them. The things we looked forward to, the things we took pride in, both our physical looks and, our mental looks as well. And what is our mental looks? It's basically your light, like who you are as a person. That, the first impressions people get when they first meet you, like that kind of dims, because now your child becomes the light. Like, that is what your energy is feeding. So it no longer necessarily stays with you, but it's providing another spark for somebody else. So seeing that so many women are losing their spark, and the funny thing about it too, that really is disheartening about it, is that when the women really started sharing them losing their spark, and the difference between them before being pregnant and having the baby and them after, people really just thought it was like the superficial of, oh my God, it's only because you didn't do your hair and makeup. Baby, no. That was not the point of them showing the before and after. The point of showing the before and after is actually saying, like, you felt like you had more life. You can tell this woman had more life prior to this transition, and now it's kind of like you can see that these women have no direction anymore. Their sole purpose is motherhood, and it's crazy to transition from having all these goals and aspirations and ideas of who you wanted to become as a woman, to now just serving and catering to your baby who is helpless, who is defenseless, and you have to prepare them for this selfish world, and that requires a lot from you. So yeah, your spark does go. And personally, I really think it's hard to avoid postpartum depressions. I feel like there's levels to postpartum depression. No matter how much village you have, no matter how many children you have, no matter what may be that you feel like might help you fight postpartum depression, it's gonna eventually get to you, because not only has a lot changed, it's a new type of responsibility on top of the responsibility you already have as an adult. And this type of responsibility, you can never get an off day, you can never shut down, you can never turn off. Even when the child gets older, like, you are a parent until you die. That does not change. You cannot necessarily revert back to who you were prior to this person coming into your life that you birthed. So it's a part of you now, a part that you did not know that would change your brain chemistry. And now all you can do is thinking about this little person and who they might become in society, who they might become as a person, the things they think about, the things they decide. Like, that is on you. That's a lot of weight. That is a lot of weight on a lot of women, because even when you're married or you have a partner to help you and join you in this journey, and let's say you don't, you're gonna feel alone. You're going to feel alone. That's why I even mentioned that you can have a village and at some point you still feel alone, because there's so much they can do. But at the end, you still carry majority of the load in a way that just can never turn off. So that's going to suck your spark away. You're gonna not worry about necessarily your health and your appearance and your weight and this, that, and the third, because one, you're barely sleeping. Two, you no longer determine what goes on in your day anymore. Your child does. Your child does. It's no longer about you, it's about the child. So that is how many people, many women lose their spark. And I want to clear that up before I start going into detail about, how to fight against it, in my opinion. And, it's just from things I've seen and heard and, made an assessment through it all. I'm not a professional. I want to clear that up. It's just something I wanted to discuss. But, yeah. So next time you feel like someone is like, yo, like, I don't feel like myself, like, it's not because, oh my God, you're not doing enough, or you're not doing this and that. Or don't even take advantage of the situation when this person is being vulnerable to be like, well, this is why you should not have a baby. Listen, the child already here. Don't ask them, if you could you do it different? The child already there. We can't rewind time. I don't know how that helped the situation. So why even bother asking that type of questions in the moment of a woman being vulnerable? Yeah. And no matter how many, things you can ask, this woman is trying to be present in here for her child. She's trying to not make certain mistakes she probably experienced that traumatized her as a child. Like, your whole being is to be better than, and to hope that your child can be better than. So it's very easy and very fast. It's a very slippery slope to get to a point where you don't even recognize yourself. And it's very hard to climb back up that slope and assess yourself, realizing you don't even recognize yourself. It's not even feeling like yourself, but you're truly a whole different person. Like, you cannot go back to who you were prior to this child coming into your life. You can't. You really can't. So whether you try to climb up or not, you're not going to find the same person. And there's something about that triggers a mourning inside of you, because you feel like now when things are put in a certain perspective, you didn't really fully took advantage of that person or the things you probably didn't think it was an opportunity at the time, but now you saw it was. And not saying that you gotta dwell on that, but sometimes you do go there because you're like, I did not know that this entailed all of that. Like, what am I living for at this point? Like, I love my child, but is there more than just my child at this point? Are you working with me, y'all? Are you following? Because it gets real deep, psychologically speaking. And if you don't have the mental capacity or the mental strength to not allow yourself to be pulled into that and to combat those feelings and basically reason that this is not all a mistake and see the positives in it, you will go to a hole you cannot pull yourself out of. Okay, you will go into a hole, and not only are you losing yourself, a child is losing a mother. And that's the sad truth. So that's how, women are losing their spark. It's not just a physical change, it's just that the physical change is just an outward result of what's going on inside. I don't know why I lost my train of thought. But yes, now we got that cleared. Let's talk about my own experience. In 2 weeks, my child will be 1. And if you're new here, I am going to link my pregnancy vlogs up to my birth vlogs / birth story, because it's a doozy. And watch those and then come back to this so you can gauge what I'm going to see, because I don't necessarily want to do a full recap because I feel like I've said this story multiple times. But from my experience, and basically skipping the whole 3rd trimester, I literally had my baby the day after I turned 7 months. So my water broke 6 months. The day I was supposed to turn 7 months, I ended up birthing him the day after. Okay, I was in labor that day, and then I birthed him the day after. And it was a different type of mourning for me, because I just felt like, one, it took me so long to accept my pregnancy because I was not planning to be pregnant anytime soon. Okay? And when I did finally mentally accept being pregnant, I was not granted the opportunity to enjoy the pregnancy. I was literally only pregnant for 6 months. And out of those 6 months, I spent 2 to 3 weeks in the hospital. Could not leave until I gave birth because I was already in labor. Okay, my baby was already head down, ready to come into this world. 3 pounds, 6 ounces. So I had a really, really tiny baby coming into this world, okay? I didn't have the maternity chute. I didn't have anything. I wasn't even prepared for the baby. Nothing was ready. So imagine having so much pregnancy sickness, nobody knowing you were pregnant, and you finally revealed it, and you're finally building the confidence of this change in your life. Like, I would walk around the house like a month prior to me having my son and be like, wow, it's never gonna be this quiet again. And then I was right. It's never gonna be quiet like this again. Not in a bad way, it's just I was taking in the solitude that I knew I was gonna mourn, because I thrive best by myself. I've learned and adapted to spending so much time to myself. I was trying to mentally prepare having someone under me at all times, every day, all day, because that is the reality of having a baby. This child is with you every day, all day. So that made me mourn the fact that I didn't get to do the highlights of my pregnancy. I didn't have that much memories of my pregnancy and being thrown into being a NICU mom and transitioning into just having the child here at a time I was not prepared to have the baby to come home and everything else in between. Did something to my man. While all that was going, I never really gave myself time to process any of that. I literally felt like the moment my water break and I headed to the hospital, it was always being on guard, always on the go, and nothing in between. Like, I felt like I did not have time to be present, to process what's going on, because things were always constantly changing. Literally. My son fake pumped me like 3 times. I was in labor 3 times. And he finally came out the 3rd time. I was in excruciating pain 3 times. Like, what was life? What was life, okay? And, you know, I was just putting on my best foot forward with what the situation gave me to work with, which was not a lot, while still being a devoted wife and daughter and all the stuff in between. I was putting it on myself to be the superwoman. Remind you, I've never been a mother before, so I don't know why I thought I was going to be superwoman. But I literally felt myself deteriorating because, one, this is not what I wanted, okay? 2, what is life? Like, is this really what my life is gonna look like for the next 5 years? Is just basically tending to my child and nothing else in between? Like, will there ever be a me? Will there ever be a chance for me to do the things I enjoy? My baby is a FOMO baby. He just started finally sleeping through the night like a month ago, when he hit 10 months, going on 11 months, okay? Imagine trying to function with a kid who don't sleep. You're running on 3-4 hours of sleep every day. Every day is unpredictable, no matter how much scheduling and structure you try to put in your child's life. You know, everything is up in the air. At some point, you just accept the chaos because it's just not giving. And not to mention the change of your body. Like, my body has changed so much. The constant insecurity I feel with just my belly alone, and the weight gain that I keep gaining, okay? I'm still stuck on them extra 10 pounds and not being able to tend to myself in my physical activity because I'm not sleeping, I'm not eating enough, I'm not eating well. Like, someone's always crying for me. And me explaining this is not like in the sense of complaining. I don't want this to be confused with complaining. It's basically painting a picture of where I was mentally. So with that experience, I just could not ever really sit down and process my postpartum, process what was going on with me, and trying to understand where I was at that moment and allow myself to feel what was going on. I just felt like I could not afford to feel, because if I felt, I would not be the best mother I could at that moment, because my child is so helpless. He came home still a preemie, okay? My baby was like 4 pounds. He came home 4 pounds. Like, I'm looking at the pictures and I'm like he barely could fit his car seat. The baby was small, okay? He was so good. Me looking at this child like, what am I going to do with him? Like, how am I going to baby this child? Like, he is tiny. I got to make sure he is alive. He is thriving. He is beating the odds because he already came into this world too early. Everything is against him. That's what I'm constantly thinking about. So at some point, when you don't allow yourself to sit down and grasp the situation that is at hand and to give yourself time to sit with it, it's going to catch up with you and it's going to force you to sit whether you like it or not. And that's what had happened to me, where because I didn't give myself the chance to process the postpartum, now I'm forced to sit and I'm allowing it to fester into something negative, which is not a good thing. For me, I just felt like I just became a servant. Like there was nothing for me to look forward to. All my days felt the same. All my days felt the same. And I was fighting to not have resentment towards my child because my child did not ask to be here. I did the dude that put me here to have him. So I had to really rationalize with myself and made myself realize, like, this is what you are. So you have two options. How do you want to go about it? Do you want to go about it and make it the worst thing you ever experienced? Because nonetheless, you still got to deal with this every day. But now you're affecting your child psychologically. You're passing on that trauma. Do you really want that? Or do you want to take this challenge by hand and make sure your child gets the best version of you? And this is what I am faced with. Okay? That's what every mother is faced with. So I decided, as any mother would decide, is to make sure I make this the best experience as I possibly can, realistically. And I'm going to look for the best option and mix it, just look for the highlight of the day. So, one thing's for sure, I live and swear by my wig. So I just started deciding to still keep the hobbies and the things that I enjoy that makes me feel whole, and to really zoom into that. Okay, one thing's for sure, when my hair is put together, I'm put together. Even though I'm not going nowhere and I'm caring for my child, I want to make sure mentally I feel the best. So when I realized that after 8 months, postpartum depression finally catched up to me. I say finally because I was speeding, I was running, I was sprinting away. I was like, baby, you ain't gonna catch me. Okay? I was doing all the things. I was outside. Not necessarily outside like clubbing or nothing, but like, I was making sure I was still spending time with the people I love and, keeping some type of normalcy, which I think helped at some point. There's a point in postpartum you just cannot escape. Like, you just cannot escape. And so I had to really zoom in and come back and remind myself, like, this is your child and you love him. Like, you love him. And that's not me saying like I was convincing myself like I didn't know I love my child. No, I know I love my child. But I had to really give myself another focus, so I didn't allow myself to go into a hole of remorse, regret. I said regret. Regret. And resentment, to become resentful towards the whole ordeal of my first year of postpartum. So I did little things like I would work out lightly when I could. If I couldn't, it is what it is. I didn't go hard on myself because it's not by choice. I have a child that is very unpredictable, and what he wants is what he wants, and what he needs is what he needs, and what he needs is his mama. I make sure that I stocked up on my favorite stuff because I'm homebound more than ever now. And I kept pushing on a certain routine for my son so we both can get the best out of each other. And now we have a routine that we both love. And when I started really refocusing and reminding myself that even though my days will be unpredictable, I'm still the mom and I can still find a way to make this work in my benefit as well as my child. So I became really stern and very focused and really pushing a sleep routine. There we go. I was focused on pushing a sleep routine. I was focused on, even if it's in the middle of the night and I lose an extra hour of sleep out of my 4 hours of sleep I was getting, I'm going to give myself time so I can unwind and process today. I can process the things that has happened today. Because baby, I needed to process this. And when I started doing little things like that and installing my wig for the week and switching out my hair, even though I wasn't doing my makeup as often as I used to, I was like starting to feel better. When I started, really keening into my hobbies that I would give myself time for at least once a week, twice a week, and slowly build to it, I started feeling a little bit more alive than ever. And when me and my child finally found a rhythm that we can tune into, my color finally came back like a flamingo. And right then and there, I felt like my spark was finally coming back. And it all started with me shifting my perspective and just looking at my child and say, you know what? Every day he wakes up and I go pick him up from his room, I'm going to put my best smile and I'm going to look at my child and say, good morning. Good morning, Bubba. How did you sleep? Mommy miss you. Mommy loves you. And incorporating my son more into my routines, putting him on more naps. Please, them 2 extra naps be saving your girl to reset, recalibrate, and continue going strong. And it gave me more purpose. Like, the more I looked at my child, the more I'm like, okay, this is truly giving me purpose again. Like, I felt like I had no purpose, but this is my purpose for this moment in my life. Raising my child to be a decent human being, okay, is my purpose. And what he's gonna get is the best of me every time. And in order to do that, I have to keep reminding myself that I gotta be the best to me. So I have to give myself grace and patience that he inquired as much as I inquire for myself. We're gonna do a purple blush because why not? I'm feeling purple. I'm trying to be bold. Probably mix it with pink, but I don't know. And the more I look forward to my child, the more memories I create with him. I looked for things to do outside the house with him. I took him on my coffee dates. I love going to coffee shops. The more I spent out taking him on errands and stuff, if you watch my vlogs, you would see I made it a goal to still keep my regular life, but just to integrate it with my child and still keep the things that makes me feel like me, even though I am a new person. I still like the same things. And I just didn't want to lose myself in just solely responsibility, because it really started feeling like an unfair non-wage job, and I don't want to feel like this is an unfair wage job. I want to feel like you love me and I love you, and you're gonna get the best of me every time because I want you to, because I love giving you my best. And that's where we are. And I feel like with that, it helped me bring in my spark, as well as asking for help, as well as really slowly building a village. Now we're at a point where we gotta pay for the village. That is fine. But till then, we're gonna do what we're gonna do. We're gonna put our big girl pants on and do it every time. Your spark, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. And what I mean by that, it's not dismissing your feelings. It's more so letting you know it's very temporary. And it's as temporary as you want it to be. And also remember that your child loves you unconditionally, even though at the moment it feels like they don't. Because I had moments like that where I'm like, yo, my kid does not give a damn about me. Like, he just sees me as someone who's at his beck and call just for whatever he wants. Because, you know, sometimes you be thinking like that because you're like, ain't no way. Ain't no way. But truly, your child loves you unconditionally. You're all they know. That's why they cry for you. That's why they look for you. So the more I look at my child and see how his love for me is very unconditional, the way he wants to be around me, like he plays between, like under me. I could be sitting anywhere. Even if he's playing by himself, he will look for me. To me, that reminds me, like, this is a love that cannot ever be experienced any other way but this. Like, it's the ultimate unconditional love. And that makes me want to go even harder as a mom. And to not take advantage of that, but to live. Since we're on the purple mood, I'm going to be using this Fuchsia Flex by Fenty. That was popping last season. I'm still using it, but I need a good base. This eats. This eats so bad. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoy talking about it. And get ready for more chit chat videos with me, because they're literally my favorite, and I feel like through them I get to talk through certain things and process certain things with you at the same time, and just find motivation within myself, and I hope you feel the same. So make sure you subscribe, and while you're here, catch up with all my previous videos.